Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris Taylor, and I am the advocate of the devil. We live in an unprecedented time of untold splendor when it comes to our pastimes. Movies aplenty, gaming galore, TV shows airing on our cell phones, and music is everywhere. Really puts the test the age-old adage of too much of a good thing. Franchises, spin-offs, sequels, reboots, re-releases, everything you can think of, and I'm pretty sure many that you haven't. Yet. We can't just have one racing movie starring live-action Groot. We get 8 of the bloody things. There's nothing new anymore. We all see it, we all feel it, we all know it. We can't walk down to our favorite movie theater without seeing posters to sequels to everything. No jovial jaunt to the game store without seeing Call of Duty 37, Assassin's Creed 15. Can't we get an original idea? Must we constantly be bombarded with such staleness? After all, sequelitis is a thing. It's a bad thing. It's the death of all originality. But here's the thing. Sequels, when pulled off correctly, are quite good for everyone involved, us included. And today, I'm gonna show you all why. First, let's talk about video games, my favorite destroyer of productivity. Just ask any sports fan how often a sequel comes out. The video game industry is almost solely unique in its ability to churn out the next iteration of its franchise on a yearly basis. And there's hardly any difference between them all. A roster change, a slight mechanic swap out here and there, maybe a new side character for added dialogue or different mode of attack. The yearly sequel is one that has been shunned for quite some time, and with absolutely good reasoning. I'm not defending yearly releases. Not quite yet anyways. Instead, I'm gonna point out how the gaming industry has benefited most from sequels in general. And that, my friends, is simply put a greater chance for improvement over time.
It's gonna get worse before it gets better.
Think about it. That first game in a series is always gonna be some kind of risk. Nobody knew if Final Fantasy was gonna work. The first Pokemon game was riddled with bugs and exploits. And Super Mario Bros? One power-up that made you shoot fireballs and another that made you invincible. That's it. The things that gave these franchises long-lasting legendary status wasn't in their first iterations, but in their subsequent go-arounds. Later entries in the Final Fantasy series added better storylines, recurring enemies, a much better battle system. Future Pokemon games fixed how stupidly broken the psychic types were, and added a new feature with each game. And Super Mario? New power-ups and abilities. Hell, nowadays you can use characters that aren't all dressed in red. The most well-known of these power-ups, the Tanuki suit, a creation of Super Mario 3. It's easier to sequelize a video game. The basic structure is already there, the mechanics already present. Now you just need to tweak the engine to look prettier, play smoother, add new flashy things, and take away what didn't work the first go-around. Or the second. Or third. And while sequelizing every year can create a certain kind of staleness within the franchise, the truth is, they still sell. We still buy them. We may whine and complain, but the truth is, it's on us.
It's my fault. The whole thing is my fault.
Next up, films. Much longer, more expensive undertaking. For the creator anyways. See, while a game can cost $60 each, 80 if you live up here in French Canada, a movie is super cheap to go and watch in comparison. However, after everyone gets paid, all the edits and sound mixing is done, all the marketing is put out for the world to see, a movie can cost millions of dollars just to come out.
That's a lot of zeros.
More than you or I could possibly see in several lifetimes. To help guarantee a return on the investment, a film company will resort to an established franchise. Nowadays, it's a nostalgic minefield, but more than that, a sequel. The downside is quite obvious. Sequels is how we get 8 Fast and Furious movies. Sequels is how we get a joke that, while I didn't laugh, some did the first go-around, and then the second. But nobody laughs at a joke the 3rd time in a row. But the upside? The Toy Story movies, each a monumental success. Hell, the first one is the first full-length feature movie entirely in CG, putting Pixar on the map permanently. Of course, now they're making a fourth one, so there is something to be said about going to the well one too many times. A sequel done well is something that respects the source material and the world that it inhabits, and then adds to it. Not too much, mind you, but enough. Case in point, John Wick Chapter 2. The first movie was a ballet of violence, a melody of mass murder, just enough plot and story to keep things moving at a frantic pace, but also made complete sense all on its own.
I understood that reference.
Plus, it brought Keanu Reeves' career back from the dead. More on him in a future episode. Recently, I watched Chapter 2, and I'd say that while it wasn't necessarily as good as the first, few sequels truly are really, what it did do was create a Part 2 that did the original justice. Too often, a Part 2 will feel too strongly a need to constantly reference the original, beat the previous iteration into the ground instead of standing up as its own thing. What John Wick 2 did was give you just enough of the first to remind you of what happened, catch you up on the important details, and then continue where it left off. Sequels in movies are not a new thing. We've had them for pretty much as long as we've had movies. But one single solitary studio has set the standard for exactly how to continue things moving forward. Isn't that marvelous? Now, some would say that this is less a form of sequel and more a franchise. Several adaptations that mesh together to make a larger story for those who spend entirely too much time keeping up with continuity. I say it's damn near genius. We take for granted how this universe was truly pieced together. When Iron Man was first released, it was unheard of for all these different, separate stories to all link together somehow. And while the first Avengers movie really is like a huge, awesome celebration of its own existence, it was also well earned. Little tidbits here and there all throughout each movie, linking not only to previous entries, but also to the next ones. The Marvel franchise has made us sit through the credits just to see the next little morsel of story. The best part, though, is that there's a maintained sense of integrity throughout. If you just watch the Captain America movies, they each help tell the story of that one character. Sure, other characters show up, but even in a movie like Civil War where damn near everyone has joined the party, at least for a little bit, it's still a Captain America movie. Now, yes, sometimes it seems forced, a la Ant-Man referencing the Avengers every 20 minutes, but when it's done well, keeping up with the entire series feels rewarding, and that is a difficult feat to pull off. Despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary, I do hope I managed to shed some light into the positive aspects of sequels. Whether it be in gaming, where each subsequent installment has the potential of being your favorite in a series, or in movies being able to better flesh out the world built via the next chapter, sequels, when done right, are an excellent way of continuing a story, fleshing out a character. And nowadays, with superhero movies aplenty, sequels could be for a favorite character or an entire group all at once. Man, is it a good time to be alive and a fan of geeky stuffs. As always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for a new piece of my mind every Wednesday, and let your verdict be heard in the comments below. Will you be sticking around for the next chapter in the epic saga that is Devious Advocacy? Maybe you just think I'm wrong on all counts. By all means, let your views clash with my own, so that I may proceed to prove you wrong.
Kaboom! You've been lawyered.
But for now, in the case of sequels, the defense rests.
Shark still looks fake.